My name's Terry from the Cat Survival Trust, and because this is a very small charity that has achieved a great deal, we've only achieved all the things we've done by making sure that every penny is used to the best and most economic way. And that means a lot of recycling. In order to make our money spread, we have to make sure that any work we do is going to last a long time, and it also means that we make a great deal of use of recycled materials. One very good example is this material here. This is in fact recycled plastic turned into sections, rather like the timber you would see in a timber yard. And you may see occasional spots of colour. That is a fairly old material, but the newer material, they've managed to stop doing this now. But this used to be plastic bags and yoghurt pots and crisp packets and so on, which is then graded and sorted, and they make it into, they use the chips in a mould, which is then used to make these sections. And the beauty about this material is it would last at least 100 years with no maintenance costs at all. There's no need to paint it, there's no need to do any maintenance, except perhaps now and again you just use a pressure hose to remove any dust and grime that may build up over a period of time. So that's one of the materials we use here, which is exceedingly cheap and will last a long time without any expensive maintenance costs. Another material we make a great deal of use of is old telegraph poles. These are gradually being replaced by the post office and by the electricity board, who use them to transfer cables carrying electricity. They're usually perfectly good. It's usually only the bottom section of these poles that rots. They're very heavily impregnated with chemicals to make sure they don't rot, and again we should see at least 100 years use out of these. And we have a technique where we can put wire frame around this and then concrete, so you effectively make a concrete tube as and when any of these need replacing. So this gives us an immediate, cheap method of building enclosures for the cats, but also can be repaired at a later date very cheaply. Now, one major cost for any charity, or indeed any individual in any country on our planet, is now the increasing cost of heating your home. And so we've had to look very carefully at how we're going to reduce our overall costs. We have a number of buildings here which were being heated with gas, electricity and oil, but with those costs increasing and with our funds being under threat because of all the additional work we're doing here, we've had to devise another method of heating our buildings. Now here we have an old gas bottle, and a number of companies that used to produce gas have gone bankrupt, so there's a number of bottles available from companies that no longer exist. Some of these bottles become damaged and can't be used again because obviously the safety feature of a bottle like this, to ensure that you don't get any possibility of a leak, and gas is exceedingly dangerous. So there are a number of bottles come up which can be used for alternative ideas. So what we do, we cut a hole here for to put your timber in. We devise a method by which we can control the air, and you'll see this on a finished item, but this is basically the beginning of one of our homemade wood burning fires. And incidentally, these have the ability of producing between 6 and 9 kilowatts of energy, which is quite incredible. Now on my left here is one that's ready to be fitted, and as you see, just an ordinary window catch here allows us to open the flap. We have control of air and therefore the intensity of the burn with this very simple device here. And then at the back, having cut a hole in the back, we then fit a flue which then goes through the outer wall, and then we then fit a flue going upwards for the required height. So here is a very simple method of producing a very efficient wood burning stove. A finished wood burner, a converted Caligas, well, not Caligas, it was another type of bottle. And this one has a frame around it, a steel frame, which enables us to use it to heat water or even cook on. So I'm going to light this one up so you can see one working. This is over a year old now. And has been really very useful, kicking out about 9 kilowatts of heat. So you'll notice in here there's odd bits of steel and nails, and that's because this is chopped up old pallets that are no good. Some of them have nails in. We don't bother to take the nails out. In fact, we use a magnetic device to pick up all the metal. We accumulate these nails in bins, and when we've got several bins full, we take them to the scrap metal merchant and recover yet more funds for the charity to use. So I'm going to light this one now. So now with the wood burner going, this will very rapidly heat up. And the beauty about this particular array here, we have some block built walls covered with ceramic tiles. The heat transfers from this to this surround here, and it effectively works like a night store heater. So if the fire goes out during the evening, if we're a bit lazy and we don't come and top it up, this will last for about 6 hours, but obviously early in the morning you don't want to get up too early. So this stone framework here acts as a night store and keeps pumping out the heat energy until we come in the morning to relight it. So just like an electric night store heater, this works in exactly the same way. Now, a lot of the items in this building have been donated. They have been scrounged from building sites where they've finished the work and have left a lot of materials behind. And we've had a great deal of help from local companies like Chaslow, and got some really good deals from B&Q and Wickes for a number of materials, some of which were damaged, but are damaged in a way that won't affect the overall feel of this building. In here we are using a wood burning cooker, and these are quite amazing. We can use all our recycled timber. We can cook as many as 6 pizzas in one go. The whole of the top of this oven you can cook on, so you can have perhaps 7 or 8 pots on the top cooking away with vegetables and potatoes and so on. And this again is going to ensure that because we have so much waste timber to use, we'll cut down on our energy bill to do all the cooking for an all-day conference or an all-day workshop, talking about the environment, talking about the cat work that we do here on site. Now also the whole building is being heated by a wood burning stove. At the moment we have a temporary wood burner which we're using in the boiler room just next door. Now this temporary wood burner we use in buildings basically to dry the building out. We've had all the walls have been plastered now, so we have to get all the moisture out before we can paint them. And this boiler has been drying the building out, ready to finish off. Ultimately, we have another boiler, a wood burning boiler, which also has a back boiler to produce hot water for the kitchen and hot water for radiators to heat the whole of this building once it's finished. In addition to that, as an extra feature, we've built a channel down one side, and this will enable us to pump hot air along the whole length of the building into vents to give additional heat on a very cold day. The beauty about this system is that also, because we've constructed this channel in blocks, the blocks will build up heat, and they themselves will radiate heat even once the boiler's gone off, if we want to heat it right through the night on a very cold night. Now, another source of fuel for our wood burners is the material that we have here. Now, wood surgeons have to pay to dump this material in landfill sites. We actually take it free. So this is then chopped up and prepared and then put away, because it has to dry out for at least a year, preferably 2 years, before we can use it for our wood burners. This effectively is going to be our fuel for 2015. We've got our fuel for 2014 and 13 in the sheds there. So this is looking forward to make sure we've got plenty of fuel for all the wood burners that we're gradually installing around the site. And here is another very good use for recycled plastic. Plastic which used to be yogurt pots, crisp packets, offcuts from plastic factories. This material makes very good fence posts, very good fencing, and very good gates. Should last at least 100 years. Doesn't need any maintenance apart from just a little bit of jet washing now and again. And if anything were to drive into one of these posts and smash it, we can send the broken bits back to the factory and they can turn it back into another post. You can't do that with wood.